just a hack. He's just an absolute hack. And he gets his ass kicked by his teammates every week. It's just, it's terrible. It's just terrible.
Joe DeLeone, Sean Anderson, two former FCS football players from the University of Rhode Island. We are here to react to what went down during the semifinals of the FCS playoffs. South Dakota State, North Dakota State are moving on, and we're going to talk about how those games unwinded. One was very close, bit of a crazy call that impacted the outcome of that one. The other one was a bit lopsided. Nonetheless, fantastic action this weekend. It was more fun than some of these horrible bowl games that were on TV. Sean, how are you doing today?
I'm probably a little worse for wear than you are. At 2:30 a.m. last night, we held a country concert in the living room.
Stop.
It just
was
became
it karaoke or was it just
let me try to paint the
stupid?
picture.
Okay.
All right, so it's my house, me and my three roommates.
Yeah.
Two other guys that we went out with that night just to hit the bars, and I think like three girls were over, and one of my friends, he's from Jordan originally, but I guess he likes country music. And then he kind of was just, it's 2:30 in the morning. So what kind of state do you think we're in?
Right.
But he decides, whatever country song's playing, he grabs the TV remote and just kind of to himself, not even to the whole everybody, but just, singing the song to the microphone, just like in a bit with this one girl. But then he starts like miming fireworks going off behind him, and he's thanking Virginia, and he's doing all this. So then an encore is called. And he performs another song, word for word, by the way, in this state. Incredible. I mean, he is just jumping around, hitting the notes, getting people involved. And then it becomes one more song. And that's when the flashlights come back.
Oh, my God.
Come out. And it literally, I'm pretty sure we had our blinds closed. Because if we didn't, then it would be the cringiest, most cornball, you would think we were 12
sounds like
behavior that had ever. It was actually genuinely wholesome and fun and funny. But at the same time, if I had a video of it and I had to watch it today, I would I wouldn't be happy seeing that, because
that anxiety would hit.
Look at this picture. You're not allowed to distribute this picture. This is my one rule for you.
Oh.
This
even
was
though you do that with half the pictures you have of me.
Yes. Here is.
I know for a fact, though,
my face.
If this was happening in my domicile, I would probably be livid. I would be very.
I know
very
you would
annoyed.
be, but we were having a good time. We were having a good time.
I'm glad that I don't live with you.
Of course. Look at that.
Oh, that is your new contact image. Okay,
I got hit so dirty in that photo. Look at the look. It was just supposed to be a harmless. Look at Sean and they're they're wafting something up on the couch on their phones, maybe making a bet, and I got absolutely horrid in this photo.
Yeah, that is now your new.
The second one that I'm sending over here. Look at
your
this
new contact image.
Look at that monster. Look at that monster and the eyes.
Wait.
I've never been done dirtier in a photo in my life. That was about 15 minutes before the concert, so you can understand the state that I'm in. That we were in.
Go to bed. Jesus Christ, go to bed.
I was going to, and then it just became. I don't know.
Yeah, I have a lot more energy than you, as it seems. But regardless, go to bed.
Recapping and verbalizing it is giving me some more energy, though.
You're 24 years old.
Please stop bringing that up.
The older you get, the more you tell me you doing these things, I'm going to harass you, and you just go to bed. Go to bed. Go to bed.
Mr. Modest, I don't want you pitching me, oh, come out to LA, we're going to have such time, and we're going to rip it.
No.
You can't be Mr. Modest, but then also, hey, we're going to be party time.
But honestly, if you move out here, we're not moving out here to goof off. You're moving out here to work. We're working.
Oh, God,
we're working.
that's a great sell for me.
Yeah, it's a great sell.
What a great sell.
You want to dick around, you can do it in Virginia. You're coming out here, we're working every day. That's what's gonna happen. I'm putting Sean's ass to work.
Boot camp.
Basically, it'll basically be boot camp.
I had plenty of boot camp last week, trust me. So some steam might have needed to be burned off a little bit on Saturday night. Pardon me.
Okay, well, I'll give you that. Sean, I'm excited to talk about these games.
Spy versus spy sweater.
What are you talking about?
You just never mind.
What I'm wearing?
Some of the older people that like the funnies and the cartoons will and the comics will
shut up. Sean, can you do the read so we can talk about the games?
Yeah, okay. Tell me if you've heard this before, Joe. It's Sunday, so Sean took another bath. How about that? It was
I don't know. See, this is why I don't even bet on the NFL games. Most of my bets are on the bowl games, and I'm 1 for 1 so far. I'd be 0 for 8 if I bet on any of the NFL games.
I'm gonna stop talking about my weekend, but we almost tore down a bar because a couple members of our party had taken a live bet of Minnesota yesterday when they were down by 30 points
Stop.
at plus 1,000.
How much did they put on it?
I'm not going to. I'll say this: it changed the direction of the evening with the money won.
Oh
It
my god.
changed from who's going to do the Uber, who's into hey, look what just happened. We got to make this a good. We got to make this a good night, and it was.
You can do
So
that at Bet Online.
you can, and you should do it at Bet Online, and it was so thrilling. And I feel so awful for Matt Ryan. It is what it is. He's over the hill. Another crushing loss, regardless. So thrilling that you, the listener, me and Joe, anybody who signs up with betonline.ag has the possibility to get reprimanded at a bar for needing to put your shirts back on. That is that is something that could happen for you. That could be in your cards to be so excited over sports wagering that you're almost escorted out because people are putting chains on like Kirk Cousins and putting sunglasses on, being filmed in a plane. Anyways, head to betonline.ag to join and receive your 50% welcome bonus with your first deposit. Make sure to use promo code BLEAV, BLEAV, to receive your rewards. BetOnline, where the game starts. I have a big play tonight for the Commanders. I do. I think they're going to beat the Giants by 7.
Okay, cool.
That's my play.
Bad play.
Okay, you can say it's a bad play. That's my play. I'm giving out a play. I don't often give out plays, but that's my play.
Well, considering that every time you do the read, you talk about how you lose money, I hope that our listeners are
It's
smart
not
enough
every time.
not
It's
to.
the 1 o'clock window has been ravaging me. It has been annihilating me because every time I make it up at 4 o'clock, the game after we finish taping, Joe, it's done, and then it's like okay, time to actually lock in. But my in a haze,
Mhm.
I'm making bets. Oh, this will it. Oh wait, he's not playing, and then it's like okay, well that's not great. But do your research, betonline.ag. They've been with us for too long is what I'll say.
Too.
At least this show. Other shows
Yes,
on the network, they've been on for
sure.
inappropriate amounts. This specific show, too long.
All right, Sean, let's start talking about these games.
Yes,
So,
we need to.
South Dakota State, Montana State. First of all, the amount of times that I saw Chad and Brendan on the screen was nauseating. It was funny for the first time. It was like, what, you're watching the beginning of the game. I'm at the gym, like as the game kicked off, and
Humble
I was
brag.
like, wait a minute, was that Chad and Brendan that popped up on the screen? And then they showed them 4 more times, and by the fourth time, I was like, all right, stop. All right, I don't need to keep seeing these buffoons that
They
I
were
personally
eating it
know
up.
that
They were eating it up.
I don't know what it is. And Jamie's analysis was that Brendan's so large that it's not hard for him to be found by the cameras, which is good analysis. But everyone else there is very big, so it's
Maybe they
like,
were in a clear patch for the cameras to find them. And
yeah.
also, it didn't look like it was sold out. And I'm not blaming
Well,
anybody that didn't go.
which is annoying. Like I wish that
They'll blame. They want to blame everybody for not wanting to go,
uh-huh.
and you have the right to. You guys are diehard fans of South Dakota State. That is the environment you play in. That's the environment you love and you relish. You can't get on a 20-year-old's case for not wanting to be in 15-degree weather. You just can't.
This was an all-time. Well, it's also break, so most of these kids
Yes,
probably went home. And it's not like
it's not like it's a city school either. So
right now. I'm
there's
sure
some
like a lot.
traveling to get there.
Right, I'm sure that
What are
like
you
a lot
talking
of
about? Sioux Falls is 20 minutes away, and there's that's 50% of the population of the school. Okay, all right. But from what we saw, there could be some traveling. It's a very yeah.
This game was an all-time sickos game, though. The offensive
Yes.
coordinator for Montana State got stuck in the elevator before the game, which was hilarious. There was snow everywhere on the field. Every touchdown involved somebody sliding and scooting through the end zone, jumping into snow piles, doing snow angels. There was every goofy snow game celebration that you possibly could have gotten in this game, which made it fun to watch. But separate from those goofy antics that were going on, was very lopsided in favor of South Dakota State, 39
Yes.
to 18. And look, I tweeted this. and this isn't so much like a victory lap, but like I tried to say after the Iowa loss that this South Dakota State team is really freaking legit.
I think
They
we both
are.
said it.
But my point
We
is
got.
that
I
like
know
there was some.
you've been number one.
Yes. There has been some push. There was at the time some pushback. Like there was frustration. There was a lot of frustration after the Iowa loss, and I was trying to clear the air and say
Yes.
that Iowa defense is really good, and you need to compartmentalize and contextualize that game
Mm.
for the rest of the season. And the way that they've played every step of the way has shown to me that they are the most deserving and likely winner of the national championship game, as I've been saying for a really, really long time. And they showed in this game that they've got every facet of a national championship winning team now that they seemingly are fully healthy. They've got a hard nosed, aggressive defense, relentless defense. They've got an elite tight end that can go for a 25-yard touchdown on any given play. And Isaiah Davis is going to freaking punch you in the mouth every time he takes a carry.
Yes, he
They
will.
showed up on every single play and dominated Montana State from start to finish. It didn't even feel like Montana State stood much of a chance. It didn't help that they suffered injuries at the quarterback position and they lost John Chambers really early. That definitely hurt them. But they played so aggressively and to the way that you would expect a team that's used to playing in these conditions.
One thing, I didn't have the sound on for this game. Were they calling Mark Gronowski Mark Gronkowski like they were versus in the Holy Cross game?
Um, I was kind of zoned out on the sound
Okay.
also. So
Because you need to
yeah.
put they need to start putting some respect on his name for the championship game. 10 for 13, 189 and 2 touchdowns in those conditions, which we need to give a round of applause to both teams for playing in that hellscape.
Yes.
For playing in that literal frozen tundra. Very impressive, very tough, very gritty. And just that home field advantage is so palpable, especially because you're in your bed, you know what it's cold, you know what it's like, you've been in there, you've been in that setting. I know Montana State very similar with the cold and the snow and all that. But it's not like you're flying, you get off the plane, it's cold. Okay, you're on the bus. The bus has to heat up. You're on the bus, you get off the bus, it's cold. You're in the hotel, it's cold. You're doing walkthroughs, cold again. You're not going back to your locker, it's a different locker, different settings. You go back outside, still cold, still snow. Driving to the game, cold and then bus, cold and then warm ups, cold. There's some home field advantage when it comes to that traveling because it's just hitting you every single time. And I'm not saying this happened, but that makes dudes not thrilled to go play. It does. And it might be second stringers, might be third stringers, maybe some starters, but starters are built a little different. Regardless, when that is just punching you in the face all day and all trip, it's going to take an effect. And it became a who wanted it more. And I think South Dakota State did. Now, Montana State, I called them a buzzsaw. I still stood by that. But with those conditions and the travel and just the way that they turned out, it was not meant to be for them. And South Dakota State proved that they were a better team. Not the better buzzsaw, which I deemed
Mhm.
Montana State as, but the better team through and through.
The one thing too that they were talking about so much in the pregame, and it's like yes, they used two quarterbacks, and that was a little bit overly harped on. But they get so creative with their usage of Malott and Chambers when they're both on the field, and it seems like early on in the game they did feel like they were getting a little too cute with it. Like this isn't the team to play those. I don't want to call it antics. It's that scheme isn't going to work against the South Dakota State. And they were talking about
Mm-mm.
how the defensive emphasis was to disrupt the decision making point. And they have the guys, they have the athletes, they've got the linebackers, the defensive linemen to disrupt the decision making point. And they absolutely did. That is what, to me, like really held Montana State out of this game is that they weren't getting confused by that read option that they have perfected. Those option plays that Montana State runs is what has caused fits for every single opponent that they have had for every single week and every single opponent that they face. But instead, South Dakota State flipped it on them. They're the ones who caused the confusion. They're the ones who caused the frustration. And the one thing that I think everyone knew this going into this week, and please, Montana State fans, please be rational when I say this. I said this last year and everyone got pissed at me. Malott's not a guy who is going to take over a game through the air. And I know he played really well last year throwing the ball in this game, and he made a lot of good throws in contested situations to McCutcheon, but that wasn't going to happen in this game. They don't have the same caliber of receivers, and we saw that his capability to make those plays on third and long, second and long were exposed. He wasn't an effective passer as they needed him to be in this game.
This game is so interesting because we called it last week. They're so similar. All right, look how close this game was in some of the facets, and then I'll tell you where it was just where the real difference maker was. First downs: Montana State 18, South Dakota State 22. So four first downs, a differential. Time of possession: Montana State 29 minutes, South Dakota State 31. Penalties: both of them had four. Passing: Montana State 229, South Dakota State 192. It's the total yards. It was the yards on the ground, and South Dakota
Right.
State.
So
That's it
what
was
was the final number that Montana State produced rushing the ball? Because that was
uh,
that to me is like the big thing here.
rushing 281.
Montana State finished with 281.
Oh, Montana State 52.
Exactly.
That's where it is. If you're looking at the team stats comparison,
Yeah.
which people are gonna say, watch the game. I did. But if you're looking at this and you're dissecting it, these two teams are very similar. They play 10 times. If they play 10 times, it's probably going 6-4 South Dakota State. They're so similar.
Yeah.
But South Dakota State ran that rock and they dominated the game in that way. And so very good game. I know the score it wasn't reflective of that and how good Montana State really is, but it was just South Dakota State's game to win. That's what it was, and they won it.
But so that's the main point here is that they only allowed 52 rushing yards, and Montana State came into the game averaging 300 per game and were the best rushing offense in the country. Like that,
Yeah,
to me, I know that South Dakota State scored 39 points, but that is a more impressive defensive performance than it
I
is an
would say
offensive
so.
one.
I would say so.
And they
I think you're spot on there.
they forced them to throw the ball way more than they're capable of doing it. They have done the one thing that nobody else has done. And like, look, there is already so much shit talking from North Dakota State fans, and I'm excited to kind of unpack that preview. But this might be a lopsided matchup. Like this might not be as balanced of a matchup as we think. I think that a much more challenging opponent would have been Incarnate Word because of the differencing in structure. Because you know what North Dakota State does? They run the football. They do not run the ball as aggressively and as effectively as Montana State. And I'm telling you right now, it is going to be a long, long day if they can't pick up some passes through the air, which we're going to talk about in a second. They have been struggling, and they struggled a lot in the Incarnate Word game to throw the ball.
Let's not bury the lead on the preview here, but and I'll explain this on the next show. It's a different style of running the ball between Montana State and North Dakota State, which creates its advantages and disadvantages towards a defense. I think I think South Dakota State had a perfect defense for the Montana State rushing attack. I'll dive into this North Dakota State attack and see where the chink in the armor is and see where the weak link is. Because so far, I can't say with confidence there is one.
So flipping the script to North Dakota State Incarnate Word, North Dakota State wins 35-32. This game was funky because I was like sitting and watching it like a dork at my office Christmas party,
Out of way.
and I
You know,
I
I applauded you for living up to the bit.
yeah, well,
Joe is so content being a loser, but it's all for passion. So I have to
yeah.
give him credit for that.
Well, I'm not gonna miss the game to talk to my coworkers who like I was already talking to them, but like I wanted to
Yeah,
make sure that I was getting as much of the game and I
I
wasn't
gotcha.
missing it. Like I
No,
didn't
I gotcha.
it was on and it was a perfect distraction. Um I was watching this game and I was very captivated by it. And early on I was thinking to myself, wow, Incarnate Word's really sticking it to them. Like they are doing what I said that they could not do, which is sorry, North Dakota State was doing what I said that they couldn't do, which was get into a shootout with Incarnate Word. And they went up quick,
Looked like it
14
very
point
quick.
lead. Yeah, and that was something that I had said. If they create separation early, North Dakota State is not structured to get back in if they score two quick touchdowns. That's exactly what happened. But what I didn't account for is that North Dakota State did not waver. They did not try to play the we're going to go shot for shot with you game because they are not equipped to do that. And frankly, Cam Miller looked like a terrible passer in this game. That is a separate issue.
One
They
for
try
12.
they tried to wear him down. They tried to completely just be as physical as possible. They tried to get after Lindsey Scott on passing downs and be physical on defense. But most importantly, they relied on their offensive line and they just kept running the ball, running the ball. And that to me is a sign of really good coaching. We know that North Dakota State is really good, really well coached. They end up winning this football game effectively because they were able to grind down Incarnate Word until they were able to start breaking off some long touchdown runs that set them up for a position of success. I know that the fumble thing is an issue. We're going to talk about that just like in a quick second, but like, what are your thoughts on the game?
It's really amazing how North Dakota State decided, you know what? We can have 11 incompletions, but we're not going to stray. We're not going and they're going to decide, "Hey, if you are going to get us one completion for 5 yards, we're going to run for 328 and try to make up for it." That is such an imbalanced way of operating that it almost becomes balanced. It's almost so balanced with one so bad and one so good that you find it. Whereas it shouldn't be that. It should be 20 and 20. It should be 30 and 30 in plays called or yards gained. It should be, 300 through the air and 150 on the ground. You do
Mhm.
that, that's a pretty good way. And that is a baseline. I know you were in the meetings, Joe, of what we were looking for. Remember the big boards where did we achieve this goal, this goal, this goal,
Yes,
explosion plays,
yes.
yards. That is what a team does. This is a big red X over passing yards, completions, all that. But it's got to be the biggest green check mark for rushing because they impose their will. And also, Incarnate Word decided, hey, we're going to be balanced, uber balanced, maybe too balanced for the game. They ran for 257, threw for 282. They should have taken more shots through the air, and they threw it 46 times. I, how does this game happen? I know it happens because of the fumble. I know. But how does it happen where it could be so lopsided between two polar opposites of teams,
Yeah.
and North Dakota State still squeaks it out with an Incarnate Word team that is damn good as well, a
So
damn good Incarnate Word team through and through.
that's my point, though, that you're talking about, that you need parity on a week to week basis to succeed. They managed to do that's an exception,
It
what they did.
feels like the Bengals last year. It feels like the Bengals where okay, here's Joe Mixon's game, Burrow's off. Or and then okay, here's Burrow's game. He threw for 405 touchdowns.
Wait,
It feels
that's
like that. I
nah,
know it won't happen. I know they
no, I
won't
don't.
operate like that, but North Dakota
Yeah.
State feels like that. They do.
No, because the Cam
It,
Miller's
it,
had problems all year, and then it kind of came to full head this game. I'm telling you right now, my whole point is that this is a glaring red flag. A glaring red flag. If South Dakota State
that's why the
just
Bengals lost in the Super Bowl. If
but
my
my
point didn't
point
go over
here,
your head too
my
much.
my point here is that if they do not
You stop waving that pen at me, jerk off.
eat shit, if they don't have success running the ball, and South Dakota State plays 3/4 of the quality of game that they did against Montana State defending the run, I have absolutely no faith that North Dakota State can play, can pick up passes through the air. I don't think that they can complete they can't even, it's not even a matter of can you pick up first downs. They can't even complete a pass. You just said 1 for 12 was his passing total. I knew he had a bad day, but I didn't know it was that bad.
1 for 12 for 5 yards.
That is a massive red flag. This isn't Army. This isn't Navy. You're supposed to have a kid who's
Maybe
supposed
it
to
is
be
at this
a
point.
strong quarterback.
Maybe it is Army. Maybe it is Navy at this point. Maybe it is.
I don't know. I don't know.
You gotta buckle up for this team, though. You gotta buckle it up because they are. I mean, it is. They are so mean on the front five, and they're playing with fire and energy and scheme, and they're disciplined. They're disciplined. I watch them. I don't see high helmets. You know how many times I saw high helmets on my film?
A lot
All the
every play.
time. All the time. I don't see that from these dudes on the front line. So I'm not. I know you're ready to write them off. I can't. I have to do my due diligence with this team and say I cannot write them off just yet. I can't. And this was a. You want to talk about the fumble?
Look, my main takeaway with the fumble is that it just sucks that it comes down to a call like that. Um, and that like one team's season ends because of a play call like that. And it is what it is. Like, we're at the FCS level. The people making the decisions aren't as good as the ones at the FBS level. It sucks. And I hate doing the officiating debate. I don't like doing it. I don't like to
It
sit
doesn't
here
serve
and,
much of a purpose.
yeah, right.
But you stripped 100 kids of a chance, not of a championship, not of a championship berth, but of a chance. And
Mhm.
that's just we just don't like seeing that, because it's tough, because we've had that happen to us many times. So it's just it was a huge bummer. But Incarnate Word should not be hanging their heads after this game. This was a fantastic game played by them.
My my one turnover related takeaway that I have, and again, it's the fumble thing sucks, but it's so horrible, so horrible that Lindsey Scott's prolific season, one of the best seasons in the history of the FCS, without a doubt.
Easily.
After his up and down college career, bouncing from school to school, he ends a chance to go to the national championship with that interception that he threw. And one of the things that we also talked about going into this week, Sean, and I believe I said something along these lines either on our show, or it was the Split Hair show. I forget which. My main point was that if this game came down to a final drive in a 2-minute drill, Incarnate Word wins the football game, because they are able to create splash plays. They are the most equipped team in the country to quickly score in a touchdown to go situation where they need to win the game. And I frankly, as soon as I saw them have the football, I knew that Incarnate Word had it in the bag. That was going to be the final drive. They were going to win the game on that drive. And for it to end on that interception, just, it sucks, man. Like, it sucks that that is the last thing that is going to be ingrained in my head about Lindsey Scott and Incarnate Word, is that fumble, and then most importantly, that interception that ended their season. And it was just he made so many good plays the whole game. And that was the one stupid
I didn't like the
decision.
play. I didn't like the into double coverage throw. I didn't like it. I thought there's still time on the clock. There's still ways you can operate and get down the field and tie it up. There's still a chance there. Didn't like it, but that's just, I just, you need to have a better play called than from your own 30. Go ahead, Lindsey, air it out. No. How about run a
I
post?
think that
Run a crossing route to the outs.
I think they were trying to catch him off guard, though. I think that's like what
Ye-
it was, but it's like it's getting too cute. Just
way too cute.
run your 2-minute drill.
You
I'm willing.
practice it all the time in practice. You practice 2-minute drill all the time. Run those plays, and if it doesn't, maybe run it on second down, not first down.
Right. I'm willing to bet that the 2-minute drill that they run at the end of the week during practice is a lot more methodical, a lot more get the first down,
You would
maybe
think
take
so,
a
right?
shot, but get into a rhythm. I know the game. Like, I know that like that thought is okay, they're going to think we're going to be trying to chip away here, but we're going to take a shot and catch them off guard and then immediately get in position to score. There, I just I hate that Lindsey was so programmed to be like, oh, all right, we're gonna, I can kind of see my guy open. We're trying to take a shot, and I'm gonna
Yeah,
take the shot, and it didn't fully process for him. It
it
sucks.
didn't. It
He should still
sucks.
win the Walter Payton, though.
I agree. 4,600 yards, 60 touchdowns, 8 picks. 60 touchdowns. What do you do?
Yeah.
What do you do with that? Except give him the award. Really impressive.
Also,
Yeah. Yeah.
oh, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. What
Nah,
were you
nah,
saying?
nah, I had nothing.
The only redirect that I have before we wrap here, can ESPN's dipshit barnyard ass production team, whatever slappy production assistant, loser dork that saw SDSU, I look like I got to be so straight up here. I understand not knowing what South Dakota State looks like, but how do you work at ESPN and you cut highlights and you don't know what San Diego State looks like? You should know and see that San Diego State is not South Dakota State. You should know and see Aztecs across their freaking jerseys. That is so ridiculous. And it infuriates the shit out of me as somebody who works in sports as a producer, knowing that somebody is working and has a job at a bigger entity, and that is the fucking product that they put on the TV. It is so frustrating. It's disrespectful to us, but it's disrespectful to me in my career. And in all seriousness, like that pissed me off so much seeing that they did that. I fuck that kid who did that.
It's an information and infrastructure issue. At one of my previous jobs, there were when I was cutting a lot of schools' highlights for college basketball, or it was I don't even what am I previous at Sirius. We
Mhm.
had a labeling system. All right, very. Hey, this is what we did. We built, or it was built before I came in. Hey, there are teams that the schools that share a similar acronym. South Carolina, USC. They're both called USC sometimes. South Carolina was SCAR. USC was USC. South Dakota State was SDAK. And then San Diego State, SDSU. It's easy. It's right there. Boom. You know the team. There's no rollover. All the ULM, all the Louisiana teams, they all had a different ending. So it's an infrastructure issue. It's a lack of detail issue, and it's a laziness issue as well
Well,
because you didn't have the wherewithal to know that.
I think that that's obviously part of it, but you were working in an audio field where all you
Yeah,
were listening to was the audio. So it was a
correct.
little different for you to make that if anyone ever made that mistake, because it's like, okay, I don't know the name of the head coach of South Dakota State. I accidentally pulled the wrong presser. Like that's to me that's completely different. To not know what San Diego State looks like, and
Yeah.
to not to be working at a sports company where you're supposed to be some of the most knowledgeable people in the country when it comes to just sports in general, to have that job is just so disheartening that person was hired for that position.
Yeah, it's well, we
Go
know
work at a car dealership.
the
Go work at Enterprise.
it's it's been almost a year since the debacle is what I'll say. The issues that happened with last year's national championship game for the FCS,
Yeah.
and I kind of went on my own little tirade. I've gotten past it about how the game was presented to everybody and how it was so poorly presented to everybody with the details and the laziness and all of that. So this year, I'm hoping that there can be a better job done with the color scheme, with accurate graphics, with not the entire halftime show being dedicated to the FBS playoff. Let's just I'm giving them another
You're not
chance.
going to get any of that. You're not going to get any of it.
Then I'll be back here on January 7th screaming. Or
I bet
what?
you it's worse. How much do you want to bet that it's worse than last year? It's the product is degrading. Across the board, it's degrading. It is getting worse and worse because these companies, in my eyes, especially ESPN, is making bad hires, but they're also like eh, a lot of them don't have the same amount of money that they have to spend on certain things, so they're cutting corners.
Let's just hope it doesn't happen. I'm not going to bury them before they've given an effort, before they've put it out there. I'm not going to.
You know what
If
my
it
dumb
happens, I will bury them.
you know what my dumbass was thinking about though yesterday when I was at the gym.
Cheese fries.
This is such a cockamamie idea that how much do you think it would cost to get the rights to broadcast the FCS playoffs? Like, how much do you think? Like, I would love to figure out. Obviously, not right now. We don't have the money to do this, but like, say 10 years from now, we've got a little bit of money. I wonder how much it would cost to. th-
It would
how
probably
awesome would that
cost a
be?
substantial amount of money.
But I can't imagine that ESPN would put up too much of a fight to because we could really produce it the way that it's meant to be produced.
Yeah, uh,
It's like Barstool doing their own bowl game.
yeah,
Hack
but
City FCS playoffs. Could you imagine?
look at what Barstool is, and they're the teams that they were able to acquire and all of that they've had to go through to try to get a bowl game. I know COVID shut one down for them, and they did a basketball game and all that, but that is a company that is, I would say, a smidge bigger than Hack City, just a
I
smidge.
yeah, just a smidge. Um, I
It's
would
a
the
good
one
idea.
right in theory, but in
I don't
action,
even know if it's a good idea. It's
well,
an
because like what if?
interesting
But
thought.
like, what if in theory that
It's
like
an
we're
interesting thought, not a
well,
good idea.
in theory, if things go well in like 15 years from now, you never know. You never know I have high aspirations. You never know. But I honestly, I think
You
that the
think your
FCS.
second wife will let you do that 15 years from now?
She's probably gonna be like 15 years younger than me, so she better put up with my bullshit.
Who's gonna watch the dogs? I will.
But I honestly, I might be wrong here, and I actually want to ask my boss Eric about this. That I do kind of believe that the FCS and like the Division II playoffs and a lot of these smaller program games are thrown into the broadcasting rights, and that the NCAA is like, you have to broadcast these games because we need somebody to.
Uh-huh.
And I don't think that they really pay very much. Like I don't think that they've ESPN very clearly does not care that much. So
Now,
it kind of shows.
hey, could you loop me in on that call with Eric, or just call me and have me in your pocket of your phone
Why?
so I can hear him laugh at you?
Eat shit. All right, at Joe
Okay,
DeLeone,
yeah,
at Sanderson Radio. We are gonna be back. We've got wait. I want to know how many weeks we have until. I don't want to just say like we're gonna be back with previews. So we've got 2 weeks until the national championship plays.
yeah. It's on
So
January 8th.
we're either going to take. Oh no, we have 3 weeks. One, we've got this week, two, we've got 3 weeks. Okay, we're probably going to take a week off in between. We're going to do a couple shows before the game is played. We usually, anyone who's familiar with the structure of the pod before the national championship game, we'll do a full South Dakota State preview. We'll do a full North Dakota State preview, and then we'll probably do like a final, what to expect from the game, maybe some mailbags. Maybe we'll do a mailbag next week. Maybe that's what the plan
That
will be.
works.
But we'll be back with more. Make sure you're subscribed. Hack City on YouTube. Subscribe to the audio feed at Joe DeLeone at Sanderson Radio. We'll be back with more. Drive safe.